This particular sketchbook is dedicated to paintings from my own environment, like whether it's an experience or things I own, things I've seen. I wanted to paint this bag that I bought for myself somewhat recently. I already have another bag painted on the other page, so I thought it would make a pleasant composition, and I also lately really enjoy painting and sketching clothes and different materials like leather, so I thought it would be interesting. I also want to get out of my usual watercolor routine here, which used to be a lot of like wet on wet. I still wetted my paper, but I let it dry significantly more than usual because I wanted the paint to lay really nicely, really butter-like, but at the same time, I want to preserve clean edges. I want to preserve like breaks and kind of the borders between colors. This is the style that I'm really gravitating towards lately, and yeah, I wanted to practice and experiment with that. Another thing I used here that I never used before and didn't really think of it as actually like an art supply is a ballpoint pen. I know a lot of artists who use them, like even professional artists, but still I never thought I could use it for like outlines for watercolor painting. And I have to say I'm very pleasantly surprised, and it probably will be something that I will use a lot going forward. I have a lot of fountain pens, but with ink, you kind of get the same value across. Like you can get different kind of strokes and different line weight, but the line value, the ink value will be kind of the same. And with ballpoint pen, you can get really like faint lines, like really different values. And I'm kind of surprised for something that is so cheap. It's very versatile. I'm using my scrubber brush to lift some of the highlights on the bag. It is the first layer, so there will be more layers that will cover this up. So I'm mainly doing this for myself, so I can kind of see the 3D form of the bag, so I can kind of map out in my head like which area has to have, you know, so I can assign values for different areas of the bag. And I'm moving on to painting the scarf, for which I'm using a pigment called Cobalt Teal from M. Graham brand. And this is one of my absolute favorites because it's so easy to re-wet. You have to touch it only a couple of times with a wet brush to get a full strength. And the scarf I'm painting happens to be exactly the same color, so I didn't even have to mix any paint to get this color. And I really like those tassels, those details, because I feel like it makes the whole thing a lot more cohesive because we have larger shapes at the back, we have kind of like mid-sized shapes, and the small details at the most like foreground, I feel like really bring it together. So in order to make them stand out a little bit, I'm giving them full strength pigment, so I want them to to be something that you see immediately when you look at the painting. I mixed in some cobalt blue to paint the cast shadow and darker areas of the scarf. I'm being careful to observe my reference photo because I want it to be quite accurate, since this is the element on the foreground, and I want them to be a lot more detailed than the objects that I have in the background. And I also want it to be a cooler shade, so it can kind of contrast with my background, and the background I'm going to make it a lot warmer. The dress in the background is kind of blue, but I wanted to give it to lean it a bit more purple, because I wanted to coordinate two pages of the sketchbook spread. Like you can kind of see that on the left I have this bag that is very purple, so I want to kind of make it cohesive so the whole spread reads as one composition. And again, I'm being careful to not have too many breaks in my background, so I'm trying to make the color of the dress very flat, because I don't want it to be stand out too much. I want it to be more like a supporting element. I'm just enjoying laying down the pigment. My paper is not like really wet, but it still has some moisture to it still, so you can see how the pigment is laying really, really nicely. I especially enjoy how I was able to leave the bottom of the dress very vague and not really give it a clean break. I feel like it looks very cool, and it's a really nice thing that came up spontaneously. And I'm taking out my scrubber brush again. I do really like it. And I'm just lifting some of the highlights on the scarf, because it's being hit directly by the sun from the window. Since cobalt teal is not a very transparent pigment, it lifts very easily. In my experience, most of the pigments that are not fully transparent, they lift very easily. The same goes for earth tones. If you enjoy this type of painting, where you lay down pigment first and then lift some of it, which gives very soft edge highlights, then definitely pay attention to the pigments you are using, because some of them will lift a lot more nicely than the others. And as I said, I want the right side of the page to kind of match the left side. So I chose to make my background kind of muted, purplish. This is the first layer I'm laying down, and I want it to be light just because I want it to be light like in the middle of the spread. That's from where the light is coming through. And another thing is I purposefully left a lot of space in the middle of the spread. Like I used to be a lot more stingy with my space. I used to think this paper, and this is Archie's paper, by the way, I used to think that it's expensive, so I have to use up the whole space, and I used to like paint to the edges and kind of jam pack the whole page with details and objects. But now I pay more attention to the composition, and I kind of wanted to have that feeling that there is a large window behind without like painting the actual window. I wanted to have a sense of space and light. So that's why I left a lot of space in the middle, and I'm also painting it quite light to convey that atmosphere. And now I painted the second layer of my background, and I kind of want to keep the rough edges on it, and I don't know, it's just a different style that I came to appreciate lately. I feel like it makes this bold statement, and I don't really want to do like a gradient that I used to from light to dark. Like I want some elements to be really expressive. And I'm back to doing the second layer on the bag, and I'm going to be real careful here because leather material is something that I struggle with because of how soft it is. All the like there are a lot of gradients, and the transition between the edges are very, very soft. There are a lot of like value fluctuation. So I'm being careful to observe my reference closely, and yeah, I'm going to like really, really take my time here. And I'm moving on to the second layer on the scarf, and I kind of want to contrast it with the bag with the soft gradients and like soft highlights of the bag. So I'm going to make the shadow breaks, the plane breaks a lot more like rougher, a lot more abrupt on the scarf. So it will have like a pleasing contrast with the surrounding subjects. And finally, I'm laying down the final layer on the dress behind. I wasn't quite happy with it because I didn't want it to stand out. I didn't want to draw attention, and I didn't want bright highlights on it. So I'm using my filbert brush on it, and it's really, really perfect for things like that because the flat structure of the brush lets you to cover a lot more ground in one brush stroke. But if you don't want the harsh breaks that the flat brush leaves, the filbert brush has kind of a rounded and soft top, so it's a perfect combination between like a flat brush and a round brush. And now I just want to punch up some of the highlights. I think that's the part that everybody enjoys a lot. So especially the things that are metal, like the metal parts on the hangers, on the clothing rack. So yeah, this is our last finishing touches. I also really enjoy to give it a more like of a journaling touch to my sketchbook spreads. So I'm using these alphabet stamps that I have to stamp the brand of those two bags. It's from a brand called Fossil. And yeah, this is the final touch, and thank you for watching.